Welcome everyone, and may I firstly say that if you are in England and this is the first day of sunshine or second day you've had, we will try our best to offer you some sunshine tonight on Zoom.
Yes.
Because we've been waiting a long time, to be honest, to get sunshine here. It has been a particularly gruesome spring. Yeah. So I really appreciate you taking some time to go indoors, although you can Zoom outdoors if you can find a quiet enough spot. So I'm going to do a brief introduction. My name's Robbie Steinhaus, and the only thing you're going to hear from me, hopefully, are mainly going to be statements ending with question marks, because I have appointed myself the questioner. But obviously, you are all questioners. So after a sort of initial bit of questions for everyone who is here, Judy and Robert and Judith, we'll then be invited to ask you questions. But the key point is, NLPU is doing a master practitioner online on Zoom this summer, and hopefully after this you'll think, I want to come. Maybe not, but that's certainly my intention, because in NLP we're meant to set an intention. So I'm going to share screen with you now and say, welcome to the NLP University Master Practitioner. And just to let you know, it is on the 6th to the 19th of August. So just if there's any unclarity about the specific dates, that's it. Starts on the 16th to 19th. We'll get a bit more information about it in a moment. So what are we going to do today? Well, I haven't got much PowerPoint, don't worry. The first thing is introduce Robert, Teresa, Judith, Judy, and Susie. And who are they? So Robert Dilts, we'll sort of wave, there's Robert, and he started it with Todd Epstein some time ago, and has been working very closely with Judith Delozier, who's obviously here soon after its inception. We also have Teresa, who is sort of the, I don't know what we call her, the power behind the throne, the engine that runs NLPU, who also understands all the technical stuff. And then we have other trainers, one being me and the other being Judith Lowe. So after a brief introduction, we'll then kind of look at, kind of do a little interview on what's happening, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. And that's really it. So unless you have any questions on it, one thing, what does bridge mean? And I suppose I possibly need to ask Robert this. It's an opportunity for you to do a slightly shorter version if you're already a master practitioner, so you can become an NLPU master practitioner. That's correct. And that's
correct. So what we cover mostly in the bridge program is the things that have been developed more recently in terms of what we would call the next generation or the third generation of NLP. So it kind of, the idea of being a bridge is it's bridging sort of the earlier generations of NLP to our more recent generations. Yeah,
that's what I'd say too.
Yeah.
Great. That was Judy. I'm sorry I didn't spotlight her for you, but
if you
use the view function of speaker, that might be a little easier. Otherwise I'll be kind of slightly stressed trying to spotlight everyone. So why don't we start with an introduction? I suppose maybe ladies first. We'll start with Judith Delozier. So Judy, I'm going to spotlight you if I can find you anywhere. Where have you gone?
Okay, I want the spotlight, please.
I can do that too here. So I can spotlight Judy.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Judy.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you, Robbie, for creating the opportunity to be here with everybody. To share what we have to share about NLP and about master practitioner training. And for Caroline, who is dancing as fast as she could in the background to get it all set up for all, for all of us. So thank you for that. And I'm Judith Delozier, and like Robert Dilts, I've been around for a really long time in all the three different descriptions of NLP. I think both of us have had a great opportunity to, bring information and knowledge to that part of the field, or at that time when the field was developing in the first generation, as we say. I call it a description. It's a description of the human experience in that first generation and where the focus of attention was, and then the opportunity to be around in the second description or generation in the mid 80s with John Grinder, and then later with Robert over the last 25 or so years in developing the idea of the third description or third generation. So I feel like an institution in a way, NLP. But I also want to I really want to say that, I think for myself and maybe speaking for Judith and Robert and others as well, that there's been a sense in some of us of a generative collaboration, through the whole experience of our pathways. I mean, that we've gone out and then come back and brought information and knowledge and ideas back to each other, which has continued to expand. Robert and I spent, 4 years doing the Encyclopedia of Systemic NLP together. So that's who I am. I'm a grandma too, and a mom, and a friend, and all those things too. So trainer, developer, author, and collaborator.
Yes.
Thank you, Judy.
I think. Do you agree with that? Do my colleagues agree? I have to have agreement from my colleagues. Okay, got it. Okay, great.
Thank you, Judy. And I'll just add that Judy also pretty well invented 6-step reframing. So if you ever heard of that technique, you're actually looking at its creator. So
well, one of the creators, yeah. John Grinder played, a tiny little,
Yeah.
Judy is also the brilliant mind behind the dancing score.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
yes.
I think one of the
All right.
Carrying the flag of the body has been really, really important, for all of us. Yeah.
So Robert, over to you.
Yes. To me.
Maybe
Okay,
introduce yourself. Yay, thanks, Judy.
Hold on a second. I've got a call from you. Hold on a second. Hello, yes, Alvin here.
Oh, we have to mute if you're not.
I've muted Alvin.
Speakers. Okay.
Yeah. Alvin.
That's the power of Zoom. Okay, so Robert, you must know something about NLP as well.
Oh, a little bit here and there. I'm still learning a lot about NLP as time goes. I can say that. I don't know that we'll ever learn all that NLP has to give. But yes, like Judy was saying, we both go back to the earliest days. Before NLP had its name. Judy was actually, I believe that Judy was the very first human being that I ever observed consciously seeing eye movements, that we were staring into each other's eyes.
And we fell in love.
We fell in love in a very, very, Socratic way. I mean,
yes, thank you. Yes.
Anyway, so I'm here at my place in Paris and kind of go back and forth between California and Paris. Have been, as Judy was saying, we've co-authored several things together, the Encyclopedia, NLP Volume 1, going way back to 1980, and NLP 2, which is 2010.
Yeah.
And I've then written something like 25 or something other books on various topics.
At least.
And Judy used to call me the Book of the Month Club.
Book of the Month Club Robert, I say. It's Book of the Month Club Robert.
But and like Robbie was saying, Todd Epstein and I had a really big vision. Teresa and Todd and I started the Dynamic Learning Center actually 40 years ago, 1981, I believe, was our first Dynamic Learning Center programs. And then around we started doing our first trainer trainings in the late 1980s, and Todd and I started to develop this idea of what would be really an NLP university. What would that be like? And our mission was to provide what we called a complete NLP education. And actually, the very first year we launched this NLPU, Judy came and joined us, and then really became a very important, partner starting the next year in '92. And we've been operating every year since then. So this is like our 30-year anniversary in a lot of ways.
That's true. Oh my gosh.
My goodness gracious. And so I just want to say that, the Master Practitioner is one of my favorite programs. And one of the things that has always been a vision of NLPU is the development of a really core faculty. And with Robbie and Judith Lowe. I mean, they're really such, key parts of our faculty now. And as Robbie was mentioning, Susie Smith, Tim Halbom and Chris Halbom were there last year, and they unfortunately can't be there this time, but we've got a great faculty. I also want to just acknowledge that Toktam Garl is also, she's doing she's become a very big part of our NLPU, and just want to thank her for being involved in this, helping out, promoting this, but also she is our Farsi interpreter as well. So anybody from Persia, if you're on and you have a question, you can put that in the chat when the time comes. But the idea of, we also, Teresa and Judy and I decided some years ago to actually rename NLP University International, purposefully to really acknowledge the international presence, because we now have affiliates all over the world, and actually Judith Lowe and Robbie Steinhaus have already done an affiliated master practitioner program with us in the UK, and people are doing them all over. So we really see that NLPU and what we stand for is something that is really, we have always said that our vision, our mission is create a world to which people want to belong. And one of the great joys for me, great gratitudes that I have, is when I travel around the world, and anybody who has ever been to NLPU, they're part of a community. It's part of an international community. And, there's a spirit, there's an attitude that we learned there. And because for us, Judy and I, from the very beginning said, we want to create not just a class and a course, but a community. And so this is also something we promote in the Master Practitioner. So anyway, the pandemic sort of launched us into this creative space of needing to do our practitioner and Master Practitioner online. And we've really committed ourselves to this process of what we call flipping the classroom, meaning that instead of coming to the class and kind of getting a lecture and then having a minute or two at the end to ask questions, the idea is that we have pre-recorded master classes that people watch ahead of time. And when we come to our plenary sessions, it's mostly for, interactive, opportunities. So we'll say a little bit more about that, of course, as we go and get your questions, but this is it's going to be another very innovative summer. And we think that this is going to be a really, really powerful way to learn Master Practitioner skills. So that's my intro, my beginning.
Thank you very much, Robert. So I'm going to introduce next Teresa and then Judith Lowe, and then just sort of kind of field questions. But I know a number of you already have put questions in the chat. So please just wait a moment, because after a little while, we'll be taking questions either directly from you or they'll be called out in the chat. So just hang on in there and we'll have a go. But I'm going to now introduce Teresa Epstein. Are you ready, Teresa, to turn on your microphone or whatever it is? And here you are.
There she is.
Teresa, hello, welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here. It's almost like you're in my living room. I really like this forum of getting together on the Zoom, and I do think it is so beneficial for learning and teaching. So thank you all from around the world to be here today with us and get an idea of what it's going to be like in August. As you know, I'm the coordinator. I try to get everything organized so that it's going to run smoothly. And I really appreciate all my help this year. I appreciate Robert and Judy. I appreciate Robbie. I appreciate Judith. I appreciate Toki. I appreciate everyone else I'm not mentioning right now who has joined together to make this come out as a really wonderful training that's going to be so beneficial. And having it all on video, I mean, I just think it's a wonderful advancement for the field of NLP. It's like writing a book, only it's like more like a documentary in a way. And certainly this is the right time to do it when we've all learned so much over the years and you've all put it together so nicely in ways that people are really enriched at every level. So I am so thankful to be part of what's going on here for all these years. And yes, thank goodness my husband Todd and Robert were good friends and worked together in so many wonderful ways. I remember all the humor, all the creativity, and when Judith joined us, and all the dancing and all the good times we had alongside of learning ourselves and them teaching everyone. So sorry for the phone call, but you all are very welcome to call me anytime, and I'll pick up the phone and answer any question or get the answer for you. So
like right now.
So,
come back to you in a minute.
I'm going to say goodbye for now, but everyone knows how to reach me, and I'll be here for you.
Absolutely.
Always.
We'll certainly be forwarding your email. So I'm going to now introduce Judith Lowe. Hey, Judith.
Hey, Judith.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. It's so fantastic to see so many people here. So I've been training NLP for quite a while, and in all that time, I think the people whose work I've really resonated and felt so blessed by were both Robert and Judy's amazing creative work that really has, for me, real wisdom and heart and kind of soul in their practice, and I just love that. So I'm so happy that there's going to be a master practitioner like Robert. I love the master practitioner, and the NLPU one is just, you know, it's a thing of beauty and truly a joy forever. And I'm really looking forward to you know, knowing more about it from what Robert's going to say and what Judy's going to say. But I'm really, really happy to be part of it. I just love. It's a beautiful program. It's lovely.
Thank you. And we did it, did we not? Together,
Yes.
obviously Judy and Robert, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. So that was so it was lovely working. We would sort of. So thanks so much.
And then we did one in London with Judy.
Yes,
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Judy,
that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
which is wonderful.
Great.
So
So
Rob, you have to introduce yourself now.
Oh yes. Okay. Spotlight for everyone. Here I am. So yes, I'm kind of, as you you know, I don't know, been at this a little bit less long. I started teaching NLP like 20 years ago, so I'm, you know, relatively inexperienced, I suppose. But you know, I'm getting there. I'm, you know, learning my chops, as they say. I think the key point I want to say is that, you know, we have developed this model of teaching on Zoom, and I found actually it's very, very engaging. We did it last year with the practitioner with NLPU. And when people can see all the lectures online when they want to, it means the Zoom sessions are more engaging because it's all kind of interactive, and you're doing stuff in breakout rooms. And a lot of people fit it in. I don't know if you remember last year, but I did a demonstration with a guy who was sitting on a beach in his van waiting for a surf lesson. He said it's pretty hot in here, and he with his timeline moving back and forward in his chair, but he seemed to get some kind of epiphany which worked. So you literally can fit this in probably in your timetable. So that's what I would say. But yeah, NLPU changed my life, and master practitioner there is yeah, I mean it's because basically with practitioner, if you are practitioners at the moment, you're all sort of, you know, kind of together, sort of, if I can say it respectfully, slightly stumbling your way forward. Once you get to master practitioner, you know, you're all in the club, you know, you're committed. You know, it's a new level of energy, and the content, especially so much content created by Robert and Judy, it's just phenomenal. I mean, you are like, well, I don't know, you're like the Beatles of NLP as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, but maybe
50 ways to change your belief. We have 50 ways to change your belief.
50 ways there are.
At least.
I think that's Simon and Garfunkel, isn't it?
Yeah, something like
Yeah, exactly. 50 ways to leave your lover.
Right. So what I suggest I do now is ask some questions, and then we'll take some from the audience. But I don't know. The first question, I'm going to unspotlight myself. remove spotlight, is just to ask this sort of, maybe for Teresa might want to ask us some more procedural questions like when, what, how. So Teresa, what are the, can you turn on your microphone? I think I might just sort of ask you a couple of questions and then,
Yes.
okay, and I'll just spotlight you. So what are the prerequisites? I have to be a practitioner to do this program in August?
Yes, you do have to be a practitioner. You can be from any NLP institute as long as you have that practitioner certificate. That makes it so that you can also get the master practitioner certificate.
Right. And for the sort of bridge, the timings for that, is that a bit later on? Does that start a bit later?
Robert, have we set the 13th through the 19th? Or?
Yes, I think that's what it's going to be. It's usually the sort of the last week or so. Yes, so that's just about right.
And I think there are a lot of people here today who may already be master practitioners. They might be trainers, they might be master trainers, but it's never too late to put that master practitioner NLPU into your pocket, because I still learn things from other trainers. Social panorama, that's not something which is covered. I mean, in NLP, our job is to find out what's out there in the field. And as I said, it's always a good idea to check out what is it, John, Paul, Jingo, and Judy, or whatever have done. But I'm just being silly there.
It's the Jedi. It's the Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah.
What about the timing? So let's say I'm from England, or I'm from America, or I'm from Japan. How can I do this thing, this Zoom? How does it work? How many hours a day? What's the deal?
Well, the Zooms are going to be 2 hours a day. There's 2 sessions. You will join one session, but because everything is on video, you're welcome to review the other session. People are engaging in this program in different ways. Some people are mostly interested in the live learning sessions, and everything is on video, so you can watch all of that as many times as you like as well. So that's really going to be very, as Robbie says, watching the videos of Robert, the master videos, as many times as you like, and having then good questions to come to the Zoom is really going to enhance everyone's learning, to have that under your belt. When you can say, let me hear it again, Robert, and push a button, it's an amazing miracle. We didn't ever have that at the live seminars.
No.
So,
one thing I might just say to as a way, the way this works, it will work this year, it worked with a practitioner last year, is there's a dashboard. So when you sign up, you get access to this dashboard. The dashboard will list, so there's generally, I'll be making 30 plus master classes for each topic. And then those are available ahead of time. And the way that we do this is that they're transcribed. We also have on the dashboard all the written materials from the manual for that course. And we have a Google Translate function, so that if you're not a native English speaker and you want a little bit of help, you can use the Google Translate. Now, Google Translate is not perfect, but it gives you, gives you an immediate opportunity to see that in other languages. Then, so we have the readings, we have the masterclass, and then when we do, there will also be, we also have a library. And the library is, you have access to that library. For example, last year, we had our affiliates contributing their own videos, and sometimes in multiple languages. So that library is available for anybody at any time once they've joined. We also will have, last year we had the audio from previous practitioners. That was an audio library. So, I mean, it's really quite a very rich experience. Then with the plenary sessions, as Teresa was saying, there's a morning, it's morning in California and evening in California. So it's actually evening in Central Europe, and probably too early, but sometimes people are able to participate in both. So, but the reason we have 2 plenaries is one for one part of the world, one half of the world, and the other for the other half. So the Asia Pacific is usually, the evening in California. And we also, those are all recorded. Last year, they were all graphic facilitated. and I'm planning to do that again this year. So you get graphic facilitation, and that's also appears. So it's a very rich program. But you know, the key to this program is, and as Teresa was saying, and Robbie, you know, that you get the chance to interact directly with, you know, Judy, Judith, Robbie, me, Susie. And, you know, this I think is really what we want to emphasize, that's what the Zoom sessions are about. Now, there are also, we have a fabulous resource team, and I know some of them are here. Edith Joseph is here, and Deb Roundy.
Yeah.
And they will be running also separate practice sessions, Zoom practice sessions, so that you'll get an opportunity. And we also have our affiliates from different parts of the world who will run practice sessions, like Tokyo will be running practice sessions in Persian. So, you know, it's a like I said, our mission for NLPU all along has been to provide a complete education. And these days, like Teresa was saying, we can even be more complete with this type of, you know, with these kind of technical resources. I mean, the one thing we can't do, the only thing we found that we cannot do on Zoom is kinesthetic anchoring, but that's about it. Everything else you can do. You can get very deep rapport. You know, now that I've been doing this for almost a year and a half, you know, you have, like Robbie was saying, I can be in one continent communicating to somebody on another continent on a beach, and you can, I mean, NLP gives you that possibility to really make those powerful connections. Yeah. So Robbie, I hope that kind of, I mean, so I wanted to give that sort of big picture. Yeah. There's a dashboard each day, then, you know, the master classes appear, then the, you know, the PowerPoints are also on the dashboard. You get to see the PowerPoints. You can translate those into different languages. You get the plenaries, you get the graphic facilitation. And last year, we did have the plenary sessions sometimes interpreted into, for example, Spanish, and they were recorded, so we could also post the plenary and you could listen to it in either, say, English or Spanish. We'll probably have other languages this year.
Yeah, so there was also simultaneous translation for various other languages, which is that's great. So
the videos last year were absolutely superb.
Amazing.
I mean,
Brilliant.
I watched them all. I mean, it's worth coming just to see those. They were just amazing. They really were.
No, it's true.
Fantastic job, Robert, that you did last year. Incredible.
Well, yeah, and then we had supplemental things like you know, Judy doing demos that are also in the library and all this. I mean, it's a fabulous opportunity.
Yeah.
Very, very rich and very, very deep and wide. And I was just thinking about, you know, many years ago, Robert and I did an article on flipping the classroom, you know,
yes.
so long ago.
And multimedia, Judy, do you remember that? Yes.
I do. And then we were talking about, wow, this is the wave of the future, you know. And then came distance learning package, which was sort of part-time live in the classroom, part-time at home, flipping the classroom.
Hybrid, yeah.
And then we've just been waiting for this moment, you know, and here it is, you know, don't necessarily like how we got here, but here we are. And what a great opportunity to expand and to even reach further out into the world, which is,
yeah.
So maybe I'll ask Kitty, is there any questions in the chat? Put you on the spot, Kitty, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we've got quite a few. So
a whole lot of questions.
Start from the top. Okay, so the first question is, could you say more about the attitude that underpins your trainings and community at NLPU?
The attitude which underpins the training. I would say
that's one of those small chunk questions.
It's a small chunk question, right? I would say one way to answer the question for me is that the attitude is one of sponsorship.
Yes.
It's one that says, I see you.
Yes.
You're welcome here. You have something to offer. And my life would be poorer if you were not here. So I think that's one idea that really holds in our community. It's a community that is also focused on creating a context where we can wake up in ways to ourselves and to the world. It makes the promise of more more awareness in my perceptions, my ears, my eyes, my sensibilities. It makes more a promise to have more metacognition, ability to think about how I'm thinking, and through those ways to develop more emotional intelligence and resilience and connected to myself and to others. I think we are the pattern that connects. So let's connect.
I think it's a great question. Many, many years ago, or very early on, Richard Bandler made the point. He said, NLP is an attitude. It's not the trail of techniques that are left behind by it.
It's a way to live. Yeah.
And I think that's what Judy and I, have really wanted to do, and Todd and I also from the beginning. But when we were all involved in the early days of NLP, and we saw that NLP kind of became, just a toolbox and a bunch of technology. And we thought, no, that's not really what we want to teach, especially at Master Practitioner. We want to teach the attitude. And the attitude is one of curiosity. It's one of, like Judy was saying, also respect. It's one of ecology. Our way of doing NLP is not, personal manipulation for my personal gain. It's not ego NLP. Obviously, we do. It's very important for us that we teach self-care. So you need to respect also yourself and take care of yourself. But for us, the sort of underlying attitude, I think, that we really are trying to create there is one, Judy said, of connection, we say it's about the things we say about NLP is about dreams and dreaming. One of our banners that Teresa puts up every year is about, this, dreaming, imagineering the future. It's about looking ahead. It's about really, it's also, as Judy was saying, the sense of a very deep development of emotional intelligence, as well as just cognitive intelligence, and what we might call a relational, a field intelligence, even a spiritual intelligence, if you want to call it that. So we live NLP. NLP has basically been my total adulthood. I got involved as a 19-year-old nobody, and who I am today is because of what NLP has brought to me, but also how it's grown in me. And Judy and I think are we're soul sister and soul brother in that respect.
We're soul buddies for sure. We've grown up together.
and all of our faculty, Robbie, Judith, Toki, Susie, are people that have that same thing. I mean, we're in my sense, heart really comes first. Heart comes before ego. Not that there's nothing wrong with having an ego, but when the ego comes first, it usually creates trouble.
I mean, I was thinking back also in honor of Robbie and Judith and Susie and Toki, anybody who's going to bring a description of their model of the world related to NLP, and I don't care how good you are, that if you only have that description, you got a flat map.
Yeah.
And, one of the ideas from the very beginning in NLP, which NLPU has upheld through the years, is you get multiple descriptions of the same animal. Yeah. And through the multiple descriptions of that same thing called NLP, as a master practitioner, learning master practitioner and experiencing it, it enriches and deepens your map, so that you don't just have one great sort of limited view of NLP, but you have a very, very rich and deep view of NLP. That's really, really important. And it was important from the beginning. I used to be like 6 or 8 trainers in a practitioner or master practitioner.
Right, that's true. Right. And, I think that sort of single perspective is one of the great scourges of our world today that just creates polarization. Exactly. And it hasn't been that good for the field either, for our field, where people know this my NLP is the only NLP. That's a bit tragic. I do also want to take a moment though and acknowledge that in addition to our trainers, we were talking about this notion of this attitude and this heart base. This is also true of our resource team.
Yes.
Rausch, Edith Jos, of course, of Deb Roundy. Yeah. They are really, we like to say, be the change you want to see in the world. And, you know, we've spent a lot of time very carefully choosing teams. I mean, if you can imagine over all the years we've been doing this, how many people want to be resource team members, how many people want to be trainers. So you are getting the cream of the crop. I can tell you that. Just no bias in this, but.
So thank you for that. And maybe somebody would like to press the button, the reactions button. Do you want to just ask a question? Should we hear from one of the people here? So maybe somebody would like to just sort of, if you have a question,
raise your
hand or use the raise your hand button on reactions. So does anybody want to speak their question to the group?
Otherwise,
George.
I see George.
Got two.
Hi, George.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Aloha.
Hello.
Aloha. I just want to say thank you. And I must say the master practitioner, I was in that program and it made a really big difference. After I was in the practitioner the year before, the master practitioner was really holistic in the sense we did the trilemma and the identity matrix, and that helped me to hold all of myself. So I can absolutely recommend the program, and I want to say a big thank you for running that.
Thank you, George. Thank you,
George.
And George, it's been great to see how you've blossomed and grown in these years. You're a tribute and a credit to NLPU. Thank you.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that Georg did introduce me to a publisher. So my last book was thanks to you, Georg. So thank you for that too. Brendan,
cool.
Brendan, would you like to ask a question?
Hi, Brendan.
Yes, please. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My question is probably more about my own self-doubt. I'm a recently qualified practitioner, no more than a few months, and as Robbie said, and plundering my way and practicing out and using the different techniques. And my concern, I'm really eager to find out more about myself and about NLP and its benefits. But I just have this niggling doubt: is it too much too soon? I don't know. I would welcome your views.
Well, first of all, thank you. I would say to that little niggling doubt, welcome.
That little guy right there.
Yeah, it's got a super positive intention for you, and I think, yeah, you know, you know, it's a really interesting question because it depends a little bit. What we've always recommended to people, because it depends on their learning style. You know, we used to run practitioner and master practitioner in July, and then master practitioner in August, and people would say,
and people would stay over.
Yeah, can I do that? And we would always say, you know, it really depends on in some ways on your learning style. You know, immersion is a really powerful way to learn, that you get into it and you just keep going, you know, and you find your way. And that style works really well for some people. Other times, you know, you need to take some time, practice it more. So we would always, you know, pass that back to you and say, you know, what is your best way to learn? And again, acknowledging that little niggling doubt, but also saying, you know, is that the only part of me? Is there also other voices? And then how do I get the whole conversation going inside? Yeah. We have certainly not found, Brendan, that people who have only been practitioner for a few months have, you know, not had a good experience with master practitioner. It's that's not necessarily, we don't as a habit not recommend that. However, we're very aware that we all have different learning styles. So I would say it's a good opportunity for you to do some self-reflection. And
yeah. I mean, I used to talk about, you know, John Grinder and I having different learning styles. You know, if he sees a pond, he just jumps in the pond, you know, and then he goes, okay, can I swim? Okay. Me, I like to test the water and I like to give it time and a little practice, but we can do both. But it's just a question of your own sensibility and what do I need to feel comfortable if I do? And in some ways, from my perspective, the pressure is a lot softer doing the learning this way, because you can choose to dip in and dip out, you know, if you need a break to integrate. I think it's still there for you.
That's a good point, Judy, because one of the things that we have done too is that the program actually doesn't officially end on August 19th. That's right, when the plenaries stop. but actually the videos and things and even the study groups go on. Very often they'll go on until October or something. So actually you can keep revisiting. And as Judy says, that's actually one of the, in your case, that could be one of the very interesting advantages of doing it the way that we're doing it this year.
And that little guy say thank you for the heads up, because I deeply appreciate you having an awareness for me. That's good NLP.
I suppose for me, my gut says do it, and my gut is bigger than the niggling doubt.
Yeah.
Well, then the niggling doubt can be a beautiful guide to the gut, just to keep you comfortable and let you know you're learning well, you know?
And
Yeah.
I would just say that we do have quite a few practitioners from last year coming back for the Master Practitioner program. And I would also say pretty much in every live program we ever had, if people had the choice to stay for another one, if they really had that choice, they would do it.
They do, yeah.
Well, it's hardly a surprise, is it? I mean, who wouldn't want to stay in California? But you get to go to California and not use any sort of increase your footprint, because you don't have to travel. You just get it kind of in the vibes.
I think that one of the goals of the Master Practitioner is to help people integrate the practitioner. That's literally one of the goals.
Yes, that's a good point.
Get the practitioner kind of in the muscle for people.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's a natural progression. It's not a kind of like, jump between one thing and another. It really is, it's part of the next stage.
Yeah. Just to say very perfectly said, exactly. You know some things, and now you're going to know what you know.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Really well answered. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan. So, Jehan, you've put your hand up, if I pronounce your name right.
Yes. Hi, Jehan.
Yes. Hello. Hi, Robert. Hi, Robbie. Hi, Judy, and everybody.
Hi.
It's a great honor. It's a great pleasure. I have attended the online practitioner before this, and I am an NLP trainer trained by John Grinda, and I have learned a lot. I grew a lot, and I have been training for a few years now. And I really cannot wait for this Master Practitioner program to begin. And I have found so much alignment, as it is so, as you mentioned, Robert, it's so away from the ego and more about alignment within the soul, and it is great. And I remember Richard Bandler, about learning, and he would trust the students or the learners to pick up, even if they're not at the same level of picking up. And he advises the teachers to keep on moving anyway with the same pace of the best students who are picking it up, and trusting that all the other students will pick up eventually, and they've already got it, and it's only a time of processing until they know that they already got it, but we all got it. It's a great journey, and I have wanted to do this for so long, and I couldn't travel because I had a baby. He's 4 years old now. Judith, you're the goddess of NLP. I'm so happy. I'm learning more with you, and so are you, Robert. I couldn't travel to meet you. I couldn't come, but now this is happening from the comfort of my home with my children around me. This is so divine. And this is so amazing. I can't wait to learn how to dance it like you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. And Jehan, I just want to say, I mean, for us, we think that NLP is actually something that everybody knows, and that really is a teacher. The idea of a teacher is that you're just reminding people that they know it. It's to take the unconscious competence and make it conscious. Yeah. So it's not really, again, it's not really, oh, here's this tool, now you got to figure it out. Oh, here's another tool, now you got to figure it out. It's actually this more or less ongoing awakening and becoming consciously competent. So thank you for sharing.
I'd like to say one thing, which is also to you, that I also was a student of Judith and Robert, And I, you know, I mean, you floated my boat because everyone told me, you've got to do it this way, you must do it that way. And I was always challenging them. And they seemed to get annoyed because I was challenging their ego. And I remember asking Robert, I said, but Robert, there's a noise in the background somewhere. Surely all these NLP presuppositions are nothing but a bunch of beliefs. And I remember you said, that's right, that's all they are. And I suddenly thought, there is somebody who doesn't take themselves quite so seriously and is, you know, a bit more human. Because I think, you know, one of the things for me about NLP is, coming from a business background, I'm very skeptical about people who think they have all the answers. And the minute somebody seems to have all the answers, I immediately mistrust them. And it's you know, it's just, I don't know, I just wanted to share that. Anyway, so thank you.
I want to say thank you for sharing that, Robbie, because I think that's really important. That, you know, I think along with what Robert said earlier in terms of sometimes there's a lot of ego base, and you mentioned too that there's a lot of sort of ideas around it's going to fix everything right now, and I think that doesn't do service to the field, and it creates, you know, expectations that are not, you know, really
right.
Accurate. But I don't care what you do in the world professionally, these skills will add to that, and it'll increase the quality of your inner world, and it'll increase the quality of your outer world. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
And one of the ways that we work this at NLPU is we don't expect that if somebody is a manager that you're going to become a therapist, or if you're working in a marketing thing. So we're always having people, especially when we're doing our practices and especially our assessments, you're always doing it within the context that you're going to be using it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, that we think NLP is something that everybody should learn. My daughter learned it when she was 20 years old and studying to be in the hospitality area. And now she's a very high level manager at Expedia, and she uses those skills all the time. So they're very, to me, they're like the foundation of what you need to have a successful life, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I love more than anything in the whole world about NLP, and have from the very beginning, is it starts with how we're the same and not how we're different. Because everybody here is born as a two-legged, stand up on two legs with a nose, a mouth south of your nose and a nose south of your eyes. We're members of the same species. We all have images. We all talk to ourselves in different languages. We all have feelings and emotions, and we have dreams and want to bring more of our potential to the world and support potential in the world. And that's what I love. First of all, we're humans, and we can recognize each other as humanity, and then we can talk about how we're different, and the creativity emerges out of the difference. Then, you know, that's what I love about NLP the very, very most.
Yeah.
You know, the very, very most. And that there's no right map. There are different maps, and some are more compassionate than others, and some have more choice than others. But, you know, we're all just on this journey trying to do the best we can, and the tools and skills and ideas and attitudes that we can learn that make a difference in the world in the bigger sense. That's what I'm interested in.
Yes,
right. Do you want to add anything to that, Judith? Judith Lowe, that is. I don't know. I'd maybe throw a question at you in a similar vein of, you know, why is it a good idea to do master practitioner? Or what is it special about NLP for you?
To not be confusing, we always like to call Judith Lowe J-Lo. She's our J-Lo.
Otherwise, you talk to the Judi, the two Judi.
Judi in the plural. But so, well, I'll call you Judith and Judy because it's or J-Lo, you know, or Jello is the other American term, isn't it? Which is probably not very complimentary. I probably of all of us, I'm the one who looks more like Jello, but we'll move away from that. But Judith, yeah, so what's special about NLP for you? Why do you think it's a good idea to learn this stuff?
Oh my God, what an amazing question, though.
Sorry, I just...
well, obviously, as Judy says, it is about being a human being. I mean, you have the opportunity to really bring a kind of very profound awareness to sort of every aspect of your subjective experience. As Judy said, you know, how you're feeling and how you're moving and how you know, what the kind of things you're saying to yourself and the kind of where you're moving your attention. And I honestly don't think there's anything else that really does that, that covers the whole kind of space of, you know,
Wow.
the study of subjective experience. I mean, that's really what we're doing. You know, that was the original thing of NLP. And we're like really studying that. You know, we've got a lot of research and experience and very, very interesting approaches to just being so, you know, curious and interested in how I function and how you function and how we function together and how we can create more possibility and create more kind of, you know, more of, as Robert says, what we want to see in the world. So there's definitely that aspect, I think, the kind of modeling aspect, the self-awareness, and I think the sort of personal evolution. I feel that with NLP, you know, one of the things I was going to say about the master practitioner is it's never the same thing. It's like that thing from Heraclitus, you know, you cannot step into the same master practitioner program twice. It's just not the same because we're all different. We're a year on, you're a year on. We're bringing, you know, the best of what kind of really hopefully will serve you and support you in your lives in, you know, in all these kind of incredible, actually, models and skills and processes, you know, in the nitty gritty of what we'll do. It's just kind of amazing. So that's a shortish answer, but.
I think you can tell that they're all very enthusiastic about it. So look, let's take a few more questions. I was going to suggest that Ricardo comes next. Then maybe we could have someone call out from the chat, a couple from the chat, and then maybe Darren. So Ricardo, yes, you've had your hand up a while. Sorry, I haven't come to you yet. What's your question, or what would you like to share?
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. My question is, I've done a practitioner here in Dallas, in the Dallas area. And do I have to take the bridge or can I go straight into the master? Also, will there be a trainer's training available virtually or will that open up in person?
Thank you for that question, Ricardo, because let me clarify. The bridge is actually for somebody who's already a master practitioner and wants to get the latest, the newest, you know, like somebody who's been a master practitioner maybe from 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and they actually want to get the newest stuff that we've been doing in the next generations. So the bridge is actually, you don't need to take that as a practitioner. Your practitioner, you would go right into the master practitioner.
Master practitioner.
Yeah. So again,
Perfect.
The bridge is for people who are already certified as a master practitioner, but they want to update, they want to, you know, either review or update. And that's what the bridge is for. We also, you know, if you go on the website, you'll see we also have auditing programs for people who are trainers and they want to see what we're doing, or even just attend, like Teresa was saying, sometimes people just want to attend the plenary sessions. So we have different ways, but if you want to get a master practitioner certification and you're a practitioner, you would definitely, you know, go through the master practitioner program.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Train the training was the old.
Train the trainer, we are definitely hoping to do in live in person next year. And we will probably, though, honestly, we have also been planning to do it as a hybrid, meaning that some people could also, you know, since we've been doing so much development with online, that some people would be there in person and some people would take it online.
Virtually, yeah. Virtually,
yeah. I think the main difference you'll find there, if you don't mind me saying, is that the sushi restaurants are much smaller in Santa Cruz than they are in Dallas. But apart from that, it's quite similar. Yeah, that's me just being silly. Okay, well, thanks for that. So what about Kitty? Do you want to call out something? And then we'll come to Darren and then maybe Galeb. So, yeah, go ahead, Kitty. Do you want to
Absolutely. So I thought I'd touch on, we've got lots of fruity questions. So next one. So you talk about the third generation of NLP. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes.
We
First
can talk
generation,
about that.
you know, if you kind of think of generations as 10 or 15 years, and NLP has been around for 45 years or so. The first generation was really focused on really understanding the whole cognitive mind. And it was very much about, you know, representational systems, left brain, right brain, eye movements, strategies. The NLP Volume 1 that Judy was co-author with me, with Richard and John, was all about strategies and, you know, the kind of mental, it's really kind of like a cognitive science.
So the focus of attention was really, really on the cognitive mind and that aspect of human experience, right?
And then second generation, thanks to Judy, mostly, you know, was really engaging the wisdom of the body and saying, hey, you know, the nervous system doesn't stop at the neck. It goes into the body. The body is more than just a robotic response to the computer in the brain.
The body is not just a delivery system for the brain.
Yes. And so really this whole idea of incorporating much more of using the body, not just eye accessing cues, but the engaging the whole body and the wisdom of the body.
A whole other conversation. You know, there's the surface structure called language. That's a conversation, and then there's another conversation.
Yeah. That the L of neurolinguistics doesn't just mean you know, verbal language. It also means body language, and not just body language as a reflecting of the, you know, of the verbal language, but of the body language as its own source of intelligence. And then this emphasis on the somatic intelligence began to lead to the third generation, which is what we call the sort of field intelligence, the system intelligence, that the intelligence is not just within my brain or my body, it's within the system that I'm in, interactions between people. There are ideas that can only emerge if I'm if I'm interacting with Judy or Robbie or Judith, certain things will come naturally because we're engaging in this quality of rapport that is something more than mechanical. 1 + 1 starts to make more than just 2, it makes 3 or 4. And then this idea of, I think the importance of the somatic in that is it's much more difficult to get to the field. You can understand it intellectually, but to actually sense it, it comes mostly through subtle sensation.
Yeah.
And so to actually kind of be tuned into this very powerful, it's probably where there's some of the greatest creativity. For example, in my study of strategies of genius, pretty much every single genius will say the same thing. Their genius idea did not come from them, it came to them.
And
you know?
through them, yeah.
Yeah, so that becomes an interesting question. So how do we get access to that? The metaphor we use is all of us are so used today to putting our smartphone online, putting your tablet online. What's the online? Well, we're saying there's something similar. There's a kind of a big World Wide Web out there that we can, in special circumstances, be able to tune into, just like a radio or a wireless device, and you start to download. And this is where you get, I think, some of the most very intriguing, powerful things. You see it in healing, you see it in creativity. So it's this third generation explores that dynamic.
And I think that sensibility, not only the sort of the somatic mind, but that somatic mind in relationship to the field mind, as Robert's talking about, the pattern, that connectedness.
The pattern that connects.
That, we start to tip into that world of, we are energetic, we are energy, in a certain form, and we are vibrational in a certain form, and the tuning of ourselves, to that space in the universe and in our world. I mean, how could we not just, be awed by the beauty of our world as part of that? I can only not be awed if I'm not a part of it.
And I think the other thing about this is that we also do this, we use it in a very practical way, so it's not like, we're going to kind of go out into this, it's not about leaving and going out into some abstract world. It's about, okay, how does that actually, just like, again, we're using my smartphone. I ask Siri, I need to know something. I get that information. It's not airy-fairy. It's pragmatic,
It's pragmatic.
And people that can have that. I mean, again, we also say that people do that without knowing that that's what they're doing. And so to be able to actually bring that as an ongoing skill.
I mean, I'd like to add something there, if I may, because I mean, for me, going to NLPU, it was the field, the realization that there is a field, and how you kind of can, in some senses, lose the sense of I must control everything. The sort of yoga approach of I'll just go into the body man and, you know, just be with my feelings, but how do you have that sense of a greater connection? And I suppose the story I like to tell is I saw a very famous drummer, sadly he's dead now, a guy called Elvin Jones, who was a very famous jazz drummer. And watching him play as, you know, one of the great musicians in the world, there was really a sense, and I think this is a universal story with sports or theatre or music, that a brilliant concert, brilliant play, brilliant live event, it's as if the players are somehow energized, they're connected. Everyone has seen this in some like incredible match, incredible band, incredible play or whatever, where you know there's an energy that somehow they just relax, the energy comes upon them and they just deliver it. Now, how do you model that?
Yes.
You know, in a sense, I mean, it's not quite that practical, but in a way, that's it. It's almost a sense of trusting yourself, trusting the energy will flow through you, and then you achieve amazing results. So it is, I think, you know, that's for me what third generation is.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's what state of being facilitates that.
Yes.
And how do we support each other getting there together? I think that's beautiful. My dearest friends, I have to go now. I am so sorry. I want to thank all of you. Wait, I have to hear Darren. No, I have to hear Darren.
Okay, well, just before you go and we hear Darren,
I can't leave it hanging there.
Can I interrupt you for 1 sec? You are here in 7 days, exactly 7 days time. It's only.
I know. I'm going to be here in 7 days time, and we're going to talk about stuff.
Yeah, so please tune in exactly a week from now. Hopefully it'll be raining and you'll be even more encouraged. But Judy and her new programs, online programs that she's done with us, you know, featuring somatic coaching. Talk about that a bit later. But otherwise, let's hear from Darren. So Darren,
let's hear from Darren.
And then Judy's going to disappear.
And then we'll stay on longer to answer
and you guys
more
will just stay there, and just my spirit will be there.
Yes.
Go ahead, Darren. What would you like to? Yeah.
Hello. I did a trainer training and that with John Seymour, and I'm just wondering if it makes the most sense for me to just do your bridge, or if I want, can I just do the master prac and the whole thing?
Well, so good question there. The bridge is part of the master prac. So if you take the master prac, you do get.
You're going to get it both, exactly.
And so I think it depends on what it is that you would, you know. So as a trainer, I think it's not about you just updating your master practitioner skills. I think it's sort of like seeing how we might do the whole thing.
Exactly.
So that certainly would be something that could be very valuable for you as a trainer. And again, depending, you know, maybe you'd say, well, I want to certainly see how you're doing the newer things, and that would be the bridge. But I think
so.
As a good trainer, you want to learn. I know it's like Robbie was saying, we're learning from everybody. So.
And just one more specific question: to what extent do you cover your process for modeling on your master prac, or is that something that you would do separately?
Well, traditionally, there is some modeling in master practitioner,
yes,
and let me say this, Darren. From that very first moment in practitioner class, when you took a step to meta position and began to describe what was happening in the system of yourself or another, you were modeling.
Yeah, self-modeling. Yeah.
You're already a modeler.
But Darren,
okay,
I do.
Thank you very much for making this. Really appreciate it. See you next.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I will see you all soon. And give my best to John Seymour. I love that guy. I miss him. Okay. Ciao.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Toki. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Robbie. You're the best. Robert, Judith, I love you.
My sister.
There she goes.
Okay, so we have more questions. We have one from Galib.
Yes, hi.
Sorry.
Oops, Galib, you're.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I think I muted you by mistake. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Yes.
So I'm Galib from Algeria. I have already taken master practitioner in France, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I can't go to France anymore. So I had to stop. My question is, I would like to know more about the certification process.
Yes.
The online certification process, please. Thank you.
So good question. So that's actually another thing I forgot to mention about the dashboard. So I was talking about, you have a dashboard, and on the dashboard, you'll have each day, and each day you're going to have the topics for that day. So, for all of the days from, August 6th to 19th. And so generally every day or two, there is also an online assessment. So you can take that as many times as you need to until you get through. So there's an ongoing check online. Now then, we also have our study groups, and that's where, and one of the things that we often like to do is we can even try to arrange, if we have enough people that are speaking a particular language, we can sort of try to arrange study groups in that language. So so the assessment process is an ongoing one online, but also there's a constant checking with the resource team. And then, you have, like I said, the program, the plenaries end on August 19th, but usually the resource meetings keep going until, people are feeling that the participants are feeling that they really know that material, and the resource team, is able to also know that they are able to demonstrate those skills. So it's a very organic process. We build in assessment. We believe that, NLP is based on what's called the TOTE model, test, operate, test, exit. Not do a bunch of operation and test at the end and you succeed or fail. It should be an ongoing feedback process where you're getting feedback and learning in an ongoing organic way. And that's the way we've always done things at NLPU. So for us, that assessment part is feedback. It's not succeed or fail, it's feedback. And we really set up this program to make sure that it can fit as many learning styles as possible. So I hope does that help?
Great. Okay, so maybe we'll have one more question from the chat, if we may, and then maybe Andrea could go next. So Kitty, do you want to call out another chat? Maybe Kitty, if you want to ask a question that's commonly, rather than necessarily in order, maybe if there's one which seems a really common theme, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no, we've already covered the ones with the common themes, so we've got quite specific questions.
Okay.
So next one, this one might be quite handy. So do people have access to the videos forever, or is it time limited?
It is time limited, but you will have access to them for a good amount of time. So yeah, it is. It has to necessarily at some point be time limited.
And I guess another question about, kind of course specifics is, what will be the time requirements outside of the 2 hours of Zoom?
That's a good question. In some ways, that depends upon, this is where your own effort comes in. We're not going to be tracking, how much time somebody's spending on the, on the internet or on our dashboard. What I would say, though, is, if you think about it, there's, if we're talking about these 30 master classes, the master classes are generally between 30 to 40 minutes. So if you multiply a half an hour times 30, you're going to get 15 hours there. Now, we're not going to require that people see all the videos in the library or to listen to the audios in the audio library, but those are there. So, if somebody really wants to immerse themselves, that opportunity is there. Then, so we'd say there's probably the 15 hours or so in the online, maybe let's call it more like 20. And then you've got the minimum of the 90-minute, there'll be a minimum 90-minute of the plenary sessions. And then, which then comes to, again, if you take that, it's roughly 16 days. That's going to be another, let's say 4 days. Let's see, 4 days. What I mean by that is 8 hours or so, I guess. And so, we're probably looking at somewhere around, I don't know, 60 to 80 hours, I suppose. And,
I suppose the question I'd ask is, you've got because you can see the videos in some senses a bit before, maybe some of them, you have time to watch those videos over a longer period.
Right.
You've got you've got basically the plenary sessions at what, 90 minutes or 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours. I'm sorry, they are 2 hours.
2 hours. And then there's practice sessions. So the practice sessions how long would they typically be a day?
I think they're probably more like 90 minutes. So we can ask Deb Roundy. Deb, how long, and Edith or Michelle?
It was between 1 to 2 hours every week.
1 to 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully that answers the question. So should we come to Andrea?
Well,
sorry.
I'm a little late.
Yeah, Deb.
We went 1.5 hours. We had, Michelle and I, we had 2 sessions a day with different people coming to them. So some people came to both sessions. Some people came to one or the other.
Right. Thank you.
So
what do you
in terms of live commitment, it's basically 2 hours and 1.5 hours to 3 hours, depending on how much you want to do, but a minimum of, let's say, 3.5 hours a day.
Plus then getting the video courses.
Plus watching the videos, yeah.
Robert, is the curriculum online for people to see as well, that they could actually see, because it's such a really rich, absolutely packed program. People could see like what roughly is being covered.
I think we have, I don't know if all of the master classes are listed right now, but a lot of them are listed online where you can see, because it's, things like meta programs, it's working with, a lot of work with different belief processes. Also, one of the things we say about master practitioner at NLPU is that typically practitioner is focusing appropriately so at the level of capabilities and behaviors. Whereas when you start to get to master practitioner, you're working with deeper issues. You're working with belief issues. You're working with identity issues, which are sort of kind of like they require more attention, more observation, more skillfulness. But I think we do have a list of a lot of the topics that we'll be covering. We'll certainly be getting that out, even in more detail soon.
Great. So one question I was going to, before we come to Andrea, I was going to just ask a more general question. Is anyone would like to share who's done master practitioner? I see that some of you are already NLPU master practitioners, so I assume you're not going to do it again. So apart from Georg, I mean, someone like, say, Tarek, maybe Tarek, would you like to share what was your experience of actually doing it? Did it, if I can put it bluntly, did it change your life?
I suppose it did, yes. I think for me, the most important thing is it's just like taking it to the next level. So it's like playing an instrument and you're sort of fumbling around. You call that practitioner. You go into master practitioners, it's just where it sort of embeds it in and opens the field, if you want to call it that. So for me, it was, and like Robert was saying earlier on, I mean, I work in finance, so I'm a portfolio manager and the CEO here in London of a finance company. I use it in every walks of life. I mean, from trying to deal with my biases, dealing with people. It's just so useful. I think I'm quite a different person. Plus, Robbie, I did a lot of work with you as well. So, and there was Robert, and there was IAGC. So it goes on and on and on. I mean, like you were saying earlier on, you never stop learning. I think that's the beauty of it. And you have the sort of support people around you. It's almost like that energy that also boosts you into the next level. So and that's why I'm here. I mean, I'm always here just sniffing out a little piece that I can add to knowledge, skills, toolbox, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Right.
So for me, it's brilliant. Yeah. I'm almost tempted to do it again.
Well, I mean, certainly, I mean, to be honest, I'm teaching it, and every time I teach it, I learn so much. So, it deepens, I mean, that's the one advantage we have as NLP trainers is just every year, I just sort of think, this is amazing. And if I can compliment you, Robert, doing re-imprinting or the hero's journey and these incredible processes you've come up with. I don't know how you did it, but we've seen people, literally have complete epiphanies, change their life forever, which is kind of cool, isn't it? But I don't want to rant on about it. So anyway, we were going to...
Andrea.
Sorry. We have quite a few questions, but I did say Andrea, so please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm suffering from performance anxiety here, so I'm hoping I can get the words out. I started my NLP journey back in 2012, And it definitely changed my life. And I've had a couple of epiphanies throughout that time. And towards the end of my master practitioner, I mean, I had that experience where I felt like I was connected to the universe, and I actually learned all the things that I'd been studying over the year that I didn't think I understood. And overnight, I got it.
Wow.
After this experience. Honestly, it's not an exaggeration. And all I could think of how to describe it the next day was that I felt sciencey. And I had a couple of experiences like that. So it's pretty amazing. But I initially did it to enhance myself, to be a good mother, and I hope to get paying clients. To date, in the 9 years, I've made about £30. So I haven't been very successful in that way. But my question really is, and it's so lovely to get the opportunity to speak. I mean, that's such an amazing thing. To all of you wonderful NLP people. But yeah, so I kind of keep coming back. I do something every day because I see it as a way of life and a foundation for everything we do as humans. Hopefully that doesn't sound too gushy, but really using NLP with myself is what I strive for ultimately. If and when I get paying clients, and then I can go and spend all my money on more NLP training. And before that point, how can we really utilize NLP to continue enhancing our own self?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Andrea. I think, as you say, it's a way of life. For me, the key to all of this is practice. And what I mean by practice is not necessarily practicing a technique on somebody, but putting it into practice for ourselves. And so I remember many years ago, Richard Bandler, I don't know if he was intending it as a compliment or not. I took it as a compliment, but he said, if a process won't work on Robert, it won't work on anybody. Meaning, because for me, if there was something good there, of course, I wanted to be my first client, so for me, NLP is not something that you do to other people, right? It's actually it's something that you use to benefit yourself. Now, what that would mean is I'm going to be picking, what are some of the things that seem to be the most useful for me? I want to be, and then in the earliest days, we used to even do things like pick one language pattern and just listen to that pattern, not only in other people, but in yourself, for a week, and notice what what.
Can I just come back on that though? Yeah. I totally agree. And I've been desperate to practice, but just don't seem to come across people with the same interest. There just seems to be so much information. I feel overwhelmed by everything. So I think, okay, I'm going to practice that pattern today. And then there's like so much else that I can do. I think, I could do this, I could do this. And then
that's where a little bit of discipline comes in, where then, so for me, I'm going to try to find what is something that I know I'm going to be doing regularly every day. And I want to connect that practice to that. And I think then, if you find that you keep distracting yourself, then probably the first practice I would want to start with is doing a little 6-step reframing on the part of me that's going, I can do this and this. Because, what I'm going to want to make sure that I'm congruent about is, I really want to put just this time aside today just for me. It's my time for me. And I think everybody needs to have time. This is part of our self-care. We need to have time that we're doing something not for a profession and not for our family, not for somebody else, but for us. And if we don't do it intentionally, it shows up as things like bad habits and addictions. I don't know how many people I know that have some kind of addiction. When we look for the positive intention of it, they say, this is the one thing I do just for me, smoke this cigarette or whatever it is. So actually, I think making that time that you give to yourself sacred is going to be something important. And then if you recognize that there are parts of you that are, sort of taking you off course, those become the first place to work. Welcome them, find out, well, what is the intention of that?
Thank you, Andrea. So
thank you.
Yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes, but I know Judith Lowe. Judith Lowe wants to say.
Group, you know, because there are lots of NLP practice groups, and I think
yes,
Zoom now you can literally join in a practice group from all over the world. You can try out lots, and I think just being with other people.
Yes, Judith, you run your community groups and stuff.
I have a practice group. I think Robbie, do you have a practice group? Various other people do. So you'd be very welcome anyway to come to the PPD Learning practice group. Only £10 once a month. But I mean even finding something like that would be a sort of little encouragement along the way, would kind of support you, because you would know that other people are with you and connected to you, and other people too are wanting to use these amazing tools to evolve themselves. And that it matters, you know, to do that.
So I'm kind of a little bit on time because I know we've only got about 5 minutes left. I know, Steve, you've put up your hand. So if you could ask just one last brief question, and then we'll just do a very quick wrap up.
Well, sharing. I think you were thinking of sharing, Steve. Yes.
Yeah, or still, please, or share is great too. So yeah, go ahead. Where have you gone?
Did we lose you, Steve?
No, sorry, I had the wrong mute button on. I just wanted to say that I did my practitioner with Robert. I did my master practitioner with Robert. I did my assistant trainers with Robert, my trainers training with Robert. I did the health series with Robert, the belief series with Robert. Pretty much everything Robert has ever done, I've done with Robert. And I have the advantage of being able to talk about it longitudinally because I did most of that between 25 and 35 years ago. And I will say it was the set of the most profound experiences of my life. It has colored and shaped everything that I have done. I'm a Harvard MBA, which I would have done even if I hadn't been involved with Robert, but I did that after I did a lot of my NLP training, and it has absolutely changed my approach to business, my approach to people, my approach to everything. I cannot recommend him highly enough.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. It's good to see you.
I mean, I'm so delighted with you sharing that, and I will say the same. I think that if it wasn't for Robert and Judy and you know, it's changed my life too. But sadly, I didn't go to Harvard. But you know, hey, you know, I picked up a few tricks. So
we should talk sometime.
I'll do a quick share screen for about a minute, and then maybe Robert can conclude. So anyway, here back to the share screen. So we've got, so you know where it is, NLPU Master Practitioner, 6th to the 19th of August. We've also got next week, so please sign up for a very similar thing with just Judith Delozier, but I say just, as you know already, amazing Judith Delozier.
The one and only Judith.
The one and only Judith Delozier, dealing with her somatic coaching online program. And also you can see Robert and Stephen Gilligan in London, if you fancy it, starting in October, because you'll be doing generative coaching, 4 modules. And, you know, come hell or high water, we're going to get you over to England, even if we have to go and sort of, I don't know, fly somewhere. You're going to get here somehow.
You're going to get here. And I'm fully vaccinated. I should be able to get there.
It should be okay. Well, yeah, you know, so it's incredibly probable it will start there. And also, you know, we've got various, we've got a spring sale on our programs, which you're welcome to have a look at on our website. And also Judith, we've got discounts for her. We've got whatever. So thank you. I said it would be quick. So maybe over to you, Robert and Judith, to just conclude our evening tonight.
Well, first of all, I want to just say big thank you to you, Robbie. Your enthusiasm and your support has just been, one of the things that we're always looking to, Teresa and I have been looking to for a long time, is who is that next generation? And it's so great to have you and Judith as part of that, of course, along with others. And I just again also want to big shout out to our resource team, to Deb Roundy, Edith Jost, to Michelle Rausch. They're people that are, we're really, that's the whole idea of NLP is not about just individuals. It's really about developing a community and a movement. This again, I just want to repeat this idea that our intention from the very beginning of NLPU is, create a world to which people want to belong, and that world means, creating that starts with a program, a seminar, a family. So you know, this is our mission. This is our joy, and we look forward, if that's something that resonates with you or appeals to you. We look forward to seeing you this summer.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Judith, or thank you so
really
much for that. Judith, do you want to say anything?
Thank you, Robbie, for this evening. And yeah, if you've got any more questions, Teresa will answer them. She's, she's wonderful.
She's wonderful.
I will try.
Helping everyone really get clear about how they can join and the kind of amazing time that you'll have.
Yeah. So you can email us or email Teresa directly at teresanlp@aol.com. I remember that.
Please do. Yes, please do.
Yeah. So please keep in touch. I haven't really got any more to add, except I also want to thank Caroline and Kitty for organising tonight.
Thanks to Caroline and Kitty. Yes.
And thank you all for dialing in, and hope to see you in August.
Yes.
As I said, you know, you can bring, hopefully we'll bring a little bit of California, and I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I hope to see some of you there.
And it's been wonderful. I haven't been able to say hello to every single person I know, but it's just great to see so many of you. It's joyful. It's like having 75 positive anchors all at the same time. So thank you.
Oh, great.
I want to thank Toki too for all her work.
Yes, Toki's been doing a great job.
Very creative.
Thank you, Robert.
Very creative. Yes.
And to you, Michelle. So
Thank you,
so
Michelle.
you've got a great team of great people. Well, I don't want to speak about myself, that sounds slightly conceited, but the other people obviously all very good. And look forward hopefully to seeing you all. And there we are. The other thing is timing. So it's good always to finish on time. So
right.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to do on Zoom. So, thank you, Robbie, for being our MC and making this happen.
Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you, everyone. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Grazie, ciao.
Grazie. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.